here. Actually, I haven't actually selected all the stuff yet, so I probably should do that before I do anything else. That's a little embarrassing. I'm Brett Keenan, joined in commentary today by Matthew Elliott, who's graciously put time away from his busy schedule to come and deal with us. Matt, welcome to the program. First and foremost, what do you expect to see coming into this weekend? You're not too familiar with F4, which is understandable, but just coming from the whole Singapore outlook, what are you expecting to see?
I'm expecting some rain probably. It's a pretty uh, precipitous place. Uh, Turn one could be a little hazardous, as usual. And it's a lot of tight, twisty bends to it, so we'll see where people want to make moves and if it causes trouble for others.
Well, we're just getting preparation started. It looks like we're only going to have 9 drivers, 2 invitationals in Connor Paisley and Aidan Rifai. So it's pretty much going to be a point of perspective to hopefully. I mean, the funny thing about it is that we're actually 27 minutes currently off our target number because we've been running a bit of delays with the networking, and because of that, we have not been able to properly broadcast things. I mean, even now, it's still being reasonably difficult, so we might as well just get underway. We've got a half an hour delay. Shouldn't hurt actually the time difference between F4 and F3, so we should be fine coming into that construct. That everything is working swimmingly. I'll just sorry, I'm just gonna refer to game chat for a second so I can just tell people. 2-minute warning, 2-minute warning. In 2 minutes we can start. So, just looking at. Okay, no, everything seems to be working swimmingly. We're just waiting for the two. Basically, we've got a minute left. I'm just gonna check my friends list thing if I can. Yeah, so these delays are being quite obstructive and a bit of a pain in the ass, but we can hopefully get around these issues before you race in F3 today, Matt. So hopefully we don't have too many dramas and we can get racing.
Yeah, I know people have been itching a week off.
And with the issues being played at hand, we almost were looking almost not likely to run an F4. Okay, sorry for the delay there, just having a few player issues. Okay, ready up, fuck it, let's go. So, about to get underway with, looks like only going to be 9 races, 2 invitational, so 7 in total. A few championship contenders out of the frame. So, we'll run you through, I'll help you run through the list of names in just a second, Matt, once we get onto the track. As you said before, precipitation has always been a kind of an interesting concept in Singapore. We never actually saw it in the real Formula One until, of course, 2017, and that was, of course, the infamous Ferrari debacle, where probably it was really a make or break situation for Ferrari, given Mercedes' lack of pace around the circuit. And then, of course, the incident with Max Verstappen put pay to both the Ferraris weekend, and Lewis Hamilton on a track where he shouldn't have won took victory over Daniel Ricciardo. So it's going to be an interesting perspective on weather. I don't think we'll see rain pretty much until F2, like we did last race we did at Italy, so which was, you know, the icing on the cake. We have no rain up until there, and then Nicholas will be kicking himself a few seconds too late. But either which way, we're just going to wait and see who comes out first. Looks like we've got our first person out, who's on obviously our first driver on the list, which is Kyle Wilson in the Renault, and then you got Albert Ramirez Garcia in the Mercedes, with Aiden Rifai sitting in at McLaren, Joseph Roberts in the first of the Red Bulls, then Ken Doyle, Matt Coyer in the second Red Bull, Connor Paisley playing out for the Haas outfit, Alex Reese in the second McLaren, and then Alex DeMau makes up the last of the drivers on the list. Now, Nicholas Adams has just joined the session, but he's gonna have to sit qualifying out and start at the back. We are under the impression that Philip Ducat will also be the same. So riding on board, quick shot here of Kyle Wilson coming through the Singapore sling into the bridge section. This part of the track is very tricky, isn't it, Matt? If you have a car that just wants to understeer or oversteer through these corners, you want to have a car that's really reasonably straight, and the best ticket there is short shifting through the after the sling into those fast series of corners into the hairpin. Where do you think the challenge is for drivers around the circuit? What part of the track do you think challenges drivers to try and push a lap out of the bank?
Probably Sector 2. Sector 3 is pretty straightforward, so Sector 1. The Turn 1 section can catch people off guard. They're not paying attention. But I find I gain most of my time going through Sector 3.
So watching Kyle handle through turns 1 and 2, as you mentioned, it is a kind of a make or break corner, and even there, just on the exit of the corner, you can be considered greedy and get a track extending warning or corner cut penalty or anything of the sort. So he takes an interesting approach to these corners. Now here you can make and break. Well, actually, I'll just be honest. Every corner here can make or break your lap, whether it's hitting the wall or invalidating. So unlike Monaco, where there's not as much room to error, and definitely unlike Baku, that has a lot more to give in the field of runoff area, Singapore really demands a car that's balanced more than it is quick. So it kind of falls into the Monaco persuasion, but you still need to have a reasonably quick car here. But In saying that, also, you need a car that looks after your tyres because of the intense humidity in Singapore. You look at excessive temperatures of about 60 degrees. I'm not sure actually whether it was 60 degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, but it's usually pretty tempered. Oh, and he's just grabbed the inner wall.
I've done that many of times.
Oh, it's not impossible, and he's gotten away with wing damage, so it's the thing about it is that even with the 2018 car, like even last season, the wider cars have always struck issues when coming into those corners, so you have to be careful because you can't see where your rear wheels are unless you're looking behind.
That's the thing, you just catch that rear wheel and there goes your lap.
So Hoyer goes to the top with a 37.6 it looked like. I've just got a bit of a glare on my TV screen which is making it hard to see the top left corner a little bit, but he goes to the top irrespective on a 37. Pretty reasonable time actually when you look at it. Here comes our previous race winner, Albert Garcia, who only narrowly won the he only narrowly won the Italian Grand Prix, and he goes to the top with a 36.5.
That's a pretty good lap on the Ultra Softs.
And then Alex de Mal's gone P3 with a 1 minute 40 point, or 1 minute 40 dead. So not many others portraying a lap. Albert's going to get out of the way here. We're just waiting to see who's going to be on the next flyer. I think it will be... well, I thought it was going to be Alex Reese, but it looks like he's being a little too gingerly in his flying lap. So it's obviously invalidating. He's just trying to find a rhythm now to... And that's what you do. And I mean, if you invalidate your lap, you don't back off and plan your next one. You actually just keep going for it because you think you can think of ways to better your lap. So you find areas that you can improve upon, and then when you do, then you just go and pit in, get a new set of tyres, and then you know what you can do. So we're just waiting to see some drivers come through as Connor Paisley goes to P3 with a 139.5 on the soft tyre. Not too bad there for Connor at the moment.
You made a good point in lap. Just push hard still, so you can kind of figure out how you're gonna do.
There's no gains in backing off and then preparing for a next lap because your tyres aren't gonna handle a second lap around here. Singapore is a notorious circuit for one lap dashes, so you don't. The last thing you want to do is destroy your tyres by trying to do a second flying lap. You're better off just doing the lap, and if you invalidate, you just go on with it, do a lap, and then box in with the knowledge of saying, okay, maybe my turn 1 was a bit too passive. I need to be a bit more aggressive. But in doing that, I need to make sure that the car glides into turn 2 without being too slidey and then invalidate. So you think about it on the fly, and you know it's easier said than done, and I can probably vouch for that more than anyone. What my qualifying pace always been pretty below average, even during my championship winning years. It's qualifying is a very hard mantle to get through. The race is a bit different because you've got nearly an hour to think about how you approach your racecraft. If you make a mistake, you've got an hour usually to make it back up, but in qualifying you've got 12 minutes roughly to just try and find some pace to make a decent representative time. So you're always on the fly. I always find that I panic a little in qualifying just because I don't know what I'm expecting. I know who's going to be up the front, but I don't know where I'm going to be, so I'm always trying too hard to be where I think I should be, and then probably don't end up where I am, and then alas, that's usually where all the problems lie, especially in... Well, actually, I can't say Italy was really an account of that, because I had actually made more positions up from the start. It was just a minor altercation with me and Eduardo that kind of put me in the fence, and then it was a very long day in the office to a 10th position, so it wasn't the greatest of weekends, but the score-up point out of it was not too bad, given I was like 26 seconds off the lead, or 26 seconds behind second to last on the first lap. So just going now into perspectives, so Kyle Wilson's recovered from that earlier altercation with the barrier to go up to P2 with a 37.8, and I don't, yeah, so I think, so that must have meant that Matt had set a 137.8 as well. So they're on the hypers, so they're looking to try and be quick at the start, but I wouldn't be pushing too much too quickly. So Alex Reese still P3 on the Hypersoft tyre. Connor Paisley's decided his 39.5 isn't good enough on the softs, but considering he's P5 and only really 3/100ths of a second off P4 on the soft tyre, that's not a bad haul. And then Alex DeMar still in P6. Now Aidan Refai's been out for several hot laps now, so my guess is that he's not been able to pull together a lap. The same could be said for Joseph Roberts, but as I say that, he jumps to P4 on a 38.5 on the ultra soft, so that's actually pretty representable. Ken Doyle, who has had a pretty staggered season so far in E4, he jumps up to P5 with a 38.7 on the soft tyre. So fastest of the soft runners currently Ken Doyle, and that's actually pretty representable for a soft tyre run. So Ken's looking pretty strong here this weekend at Singapore. He's had, like I said, a pretty ragged opening season. It hasn't probably gone the way he's wanted to, caught up in a few incidents that weren't his fault. Hungary above all being caused by a very aggressive Dutch driver who decided to, instead of stay put where he was spun, drive completely in a straight line into the next oncoming car, which happened to be his own teammate as well as Ken, and that was their day done. So he's on the march, he's coming back through, and he's set a pretty good time on the soft tyre to be in amongst it. So if he plays his cards right here and he doesn't lose too many more positions, as he gives the Singapore sling a bit of a I don't want to do the sling today, I want to take a Singapore straight. But if he stays where he is, he should be pretty well positioned come when the ultra soft and the super hyper soft runners stop, because the hypersofts are only going to last you about 6 or 7 laps, maybe even less than that. And the ultras can probably only... he's really he's not really giving a damn about the corners today, but I suppose he is probably just trying to make up time. There is still 6 minutes in the session, so he doesn't have to afford to do this kind of stuff. He's well positioned to get back in the pits and go again. My thoughts on this will be he will come back out on another, like on a set of ultras or supers, because he won't be too convinced. Alex de Mal comes around and does a 45.9, so Alex is struggling a little bit today to get the his Alfa Romeo Sauber to operate now. We call, he's given the fence a rub, and I don't wonder if that was on the account.
I think he's just got too much oversteer.
It definitely looks like the car's not responding coming out of the corners, and it looks like there's some oversteer as well, as Aidan Refai's either, I'd say it's a yellow flag, so he's actually put it in the fence somewhere. We'll hopefully see where he's done that soon enough. But yeah, it looks like, just looking at the way his car's set up, it's just sliding out of the fast corners, and then it's just not hooking up in the slower corner. So it looks like he's got high speed oversteer followed by low speed understeer, so he's got a car that's not responding to him anywhere, so that's never a good sign. So he's given the...
Clip the inside of the hairpin.
Yeah, so he's definitely got a car that's just not responding. The front of the car's not pitching in on the slow corners, and then the fast corners he's just the car's just throwing itself out of control. So yeah, so it looked like my thoughts were right on that when we saw that incident at turn 3. It was him on a slow lap, and Connor Paisley now goes to the top of the 36.5 on the Ultra Soft. So the Invitational F3 drivers just testing the grounds a little bit. The question now lies in, does Albert and such run the Hypersoft to try and beat the time? But when you think about it, if the top two are running those times on the Ultrasoft, then they're bound to go quicker on the Super Hypers. So if one does it, the other one will react. So it's pretty a stalemate. So if I was the person, unless I saw Connor go to the Hypers, I would probably, if I was Albert, I'd just stay on this strategy. And we've seen it before. We've seen it in F2, F1, and all that kind of stuff. Drivers that go to the top on the slower compound tyre get beaten by one or two drivers on the faster compound, and then rather than keep to their strategy, which is ideally the better choice, they throw their strategy away and jump on the faster tyre and just set an example. And actually, I don't know if you're watching this one, Matt, but there is still there's a bit of a confrontation going on at the moment between Alex DeMar and Kyle Wilson, and it has actually resulted in, that was hard to say. Would you have called that a brake test?
A little bit, and a little slow in the reaction from the Renault driver.
Yeah, so Kyle wasn't too aware of it, but at the same time, Alex DeMar did look like he jumped on the brakes a little bit earlier than one would have thought. I don't know if there was, I was watching it while I was talking, and I didn't see any signs of confrontation. I just was picking up on it because the two drivers were a little too close for comfort. And I thought eventually it was going to turn into a battle, but it looks like Alex has ended that battle by putting the brakes on. We'll definitely see if that's going to warrant an investigation.
And I don't recall if they have any previous confrontations in other races either.
Well, exactly, and I mean, the last thing you ever want to do is try and have a battle with someone in qualifying, because if a race perspective is usually go faster by battling someone, you usually go slower, so it's not... The better idea is just to either one of them to back off or the other one to let the other through, which I think in that perspective, I don't think Alex was on a flyer per se, and Kyle was, so it was better for Alex to get out of the way than it would have been for Kyle to back off. So there'll be an investigation, no doubt. I'd say Kyle will probably launch something because he'll probably feel like he's been deliberately brake tested or impeded through qualifying, and qualifying incidents usually come into qualifying bans for the next race, which looking at the list of drivers at the moment to have such thing as, there's another battle going on here between Matthew Coyler and Alex Reese, which has actually sent Alex into the fence. Although looking at that one looked more like a desync, as though the Red Bull of Matt was driving into Alex like he wasn't there. So that was certainly an interesting one there. But yeah, we've only got 18 seconds left on the clock, and it doesn't look like Ken Doyle to P2.
Nice.
So he's punched out of time on the ultra soft tyre to jump to for the Toro Rosso driver. So it looks like it's going to be quite interesting. So if you take Connor away from that is an effective pole position for Ken Doyle. So what a trip for him there. And it looks like, unless Alex Reese can pull something out of his bag here today, Ken Doyle is going to take his career first pole position in the Transnation Formula 1. And what a place to do it. So,
and to do it by 0.002 of a second.
Yeah, 0.002 of a second is not...
You can lose that anywhere.
Well, exactly, and that's the kind of lap time where you look at it, and for the driver behind, it's kind of like, okay, that should be easy enough. But for the driver that does the lap, it's like, where could I have gone wrong? Where could I have gone better? When you have a flawless lap like that, you sit there and you think, well, I obviously couldn't improve on that. That's just absolutely on point. Now, I mean, we're talking too soon at the moment because we've still got one driver left that can surprise everyone and jump to the top, but
I think he's gonna have fuel problems.
yeah,
It's gonna be close.
no, it's not even near it. So Ken Doyle will take pole position for the first time, and yeah, it looks like Kyle Wilson has pretty much criticised Alex Di Maio for completely ruining his lap. So he must be watching the stream as well as doing all this. So so it's an all Irish front row. I don't think we've actually had a proper nationality lockout for quite a while. So that's quite an interesting state of play. Ken Doyle takes his career first pole position, and the gap between the top three is not very much. It's only really 3/100ths of a second, and to the top four is still 8/100ths of a second. So then the gap drops to about a second from the top five, from first to fifth. So bit of work to do for the rest of the drivers below the top five, but the top four is definitely there is a bit of conversation going on between the two, but it'll be just easy enough to okay, so we'll get a bit of an there's a bit of an understanding on this, and I'll rectify it now while we wait for everything to go through, and I'll take the liberty of doing the TK Media starting grid for you today, since you don't know the drivers' names that well.
Thank you.
During qualifying, the state of play is that when you're on a flying lap and the driver in front is not on a flying lap, the driver in front has to pull over and let the faster driver through. Now, it's when both drivers are on a flying lap, it's a bit of a different story. But it is the job of the driver that is being caught to abandon their lap and let the other person through, because you're not going to do anyone any favours by being at the point of no return. So Nicholas Adams and we've already got 2 disqualifications. So the TKO Media starting grid runs with Connor Paisley, our provisional pole sitter, with Ken Doyle alongside an all-Irishman front row. Ken Doyle, the effective pole sitter, and then we got Albert Garcia in position 3 with Matt Coyer in P4. Kyle Wilson, Joseph Roberts, Alex Reese, Alex Di Maio, Aidan Rifai, another invitational driver, Nicholas Adams and Philip Ducat make up the rear of the field, the 2 drivers who were late to the program. Nicholas only by about 10 seconds too late, so got to know Nicholas a fair bit over yesterday while we're doing the TNF1 takeover, and he's definitely motivated and very well into his Formula 1. Feels as though he's a bit ostracised in the way of how he likes Formula 1, but the people in his town are kind of like, is that NASCAR? Sorry for the bad accent there, but you know,
yeah.
bit of an intolerance in American racing. It's kind of, if it ain't IndyCar or NASCAR, it's not really anyone's business, sort of thing. I mean, don't get me wrong.
And it's not really covered over here in the States either, so.
No, so, you know,
most people are just ignorant about it, they don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm not trying to sound disrespectful to any of the American fans watching or anything like that. It's just that we've got American people here that kind of lay the facts on us, so we can judge a little bit based on what we've been told. So, and I mean, it's no different in New Zealand. Like, New Zealand's coverage is always at like 1 or 2 in the morning, so it never gets that well broadcasted, so people just tend to be ignorant about it. So it's a very big struggle for most countries, but other than Europe and Britain, where it pretty much resides. So The field's all lining up and ready to go. An all-Irishman front row. It's Paisley versus Doyle. Who's going to lead them off into turn 1? We get the revs build up. The lights have gone out, but of course the same old, same old. We're away and going for the Singapore Grand Prix, and Connor's actually just left them for dead into turn 1. Ken Doyle tries to dive it in and break the go for the move. Bit of contact going on between the Red Bull and the Mercedes heading into the next point. In fact, both Red Bulls now on the attack. Looks like Joseph Roberts has made a great start to move up the field into P3. So a few contacts going in the back. Looks like Nicholas Adams been caught in the aftermath of it all. Still going on up in the front. There's a move there from Albert Garcia on Kyle Wilson. And look at this. Ken Doyle is actually... I thought initially that Connor was going to just skip away from these guys and run his own race. But Ken Doyle is actually sticking with this Connor. And if not anything, is looking like he could mount a move very shortly in this opening stanza. So a great start by the front two to kind of keep themselves out of trouble. Connor's looking like he's trying to break the draft heading into this corner. This corner can be very tricky if you don't get it right. If you nail that curve there, you're on the fence. In fact, as I say that, Connor has grabbed the fence heading into that series of corner. That if he's got front wing damage, that's going to be pretty much his race in the sheep stations, because that's going to hamper his turning capabilities. And everyone seems to have managed to got through the first lap in somewhat good nick. Oh,
Alex clipped the wall.
Yeah, Alex DeMal's in the fence. Alex Reese is... No, actually, Aiden Refai has grabbed the fence on the exit of the grandstand. Yeah, Nicholas Adams was the biggest loser from that out of most cases. Change for position here as the top... Well, positions 3 through to position 6 are all in mortal combat right now. Kyle Wilson's trying to... Oh, he's actually scythed his way through on Albert Garcia there. But yeah, what a start there by Joseph Roberts. He was pretty much down in 8th place, and now he's up in 3rd. So both Red Bulls are going strong at the moment, though one of them is being under attack here by Kyle Wilson. Or if he can hold it around the outside, which he's done brilliantly.
Here comes Albert sticking his nose in.
Yeah, Albert kind of had to go places because the Red Bull was having a Renault up the inside. Now there's an incident. Oh, Aiden Refai had a moment there, and Philip DeCatz had a moment and lost his front wing as well. Well, let's have a look at the battle up the front. It's 0.5 of a second, but they have gapped the rest of the field by 2.3 seconds over the rest of the field. So Joseph has made a mistake or is just losing ground on these two already. And we'll just have a look at the tyre thing, Banks. So the top 3 are all on the ultra soft tyres, so these 3 don't have to worry about any one of these lot having to pit early and possibly throwing a spanner in the works. Kyle Wilson is on the hyper soft tyre, which probably explains his quick burst of speed. And there seems to be still more yellow flags going off. It looks like Aiden Refai's made a mistake. Of course, Philip will still be trying to get his way back to the circuit with his front wing missing. Ken Doyle does the fastest lap of the race as he tries to mount a move on... in fact, he's done it. He's actually made a move on Connor and taken the lead of the race. So Ken Doyle, what a change of fate by the Irishman. Must be one of his strongest tracks. He's just absolutely lightning bolt today. And so Phillips finally made it into the pits. We've got an incident. It looks like Kyle Wilson's made a mistake coming into the 3rd corner, and he's lost his whole left assembly of his front wing. So he's obviously grabbed the wall at turn 4, which is not too bad. Well, not too bad. Not that hard to do if you go too wide into that opposing corner. So there's a lot of I'll be blunt. Singapore is basically a track where any corner is costly if you don't get it right. So whether it's you go off at the escape road, or you go off the track, or you hit the wall, as Alex DeMal looks like he almost tried to get one back there, but he's got an illegal overtake, so he's had to give the position up, and that's... Oh, and he's been absolutely... Oh. Now I know what's gonna be thought here. That's gonna be Kyle's gonna instantly think that Alex was at fault for that, but that was actually Nicholas's fault there. Nicholas has hit the back of the Sauber, which put him into a spin, so it was nothing Alex DeMeo could do in that situation. But knowing Kyle, given the qualifying circumstances and the Discord conversation afterwards, Kyle would have probably thought that that was a square up.
And look at Ken. He's already gapped at 3 seconds.
Yeah, so Connor's made a mistake somewhere. I don't pace that's striking Connor off guard. Or I think Connor's made a mistake somewhere and then lost ground. But it's just absolutely incredible pace there by the Irishman.
He's still gapping, so I think he's just got pace.
He's got to be careful though, because pace around the circuit can lead to burnt tyres. And one thing I noticed mostly when I was doing my practices last night and the night before is that the rear tyres can really come alive really quickly on the circuit. So you don't want to be pushing too hard, too fast, because once those rear tyres start to overheat, then you're pretty much going to be in trouble. So Ken will just need to be aware of that and just make sure he's keeping his tyre temps in check when he's got a spare moment. So the current order will take Connor and Aiden out of the effective orderness at the moment. So pretty much every driver at the moment now is able to score points. So 8 drivers of the 10 all F4 drivers with 2 invitational. So the current order is Ken Doyle, Albert Garcia, Joseph Roberts, Alex Reese, Nicholas Adams, Matt Coyer, Kyle Wilson, Alex DeMeo, and Philip Ducat. Now, something's happened to Matt because he was running P4 comfortably, well P5 comfortably behind his teammate, and someone's had a spin, or something's happened. There was a yellow flag there for a second. It looks like Connor's made another mistake because he's now dropped another 3 seconds and is coming slowly under attack from Albert. Now, I wonder, I'm going to keep an eye on, oh, hang on, got another, yep. So Alex DeMeo's grabbed the fence at the, looks like it's at the Singapore Sling area. But, yeah, just looking at...
I just watched Philip take himself out too.
It was probably I'd say it was probably more, it was likely to be I've had enough of this race sort of thing. So it's when you're racing for points, it's point. Oh, yep, Connor's rears are cooked. Just looking at his car, you just see the back of his tyres. His tyres are graining. He has absolutely bored these. Yeah, he's losing the rear of the car a lot, so it's quite easy to say he's overheated his rear tyres, and that's usually a cause to a concern, especially when you're not really near your pit window. So the gap is now 7.6 seconds, and Connor's now coming under attack from Albert Garcia. Now, Connor obviously will be using this information he'll use this information, take it to F3, knowing that not to push too hard when it counts. So will Albert make a move here? No, he won't. So yeah, so for Philip and Alex, there'll be no points because they needed to complete. And Connor's grabbed the fence at turn 3, and that should be an easy picking there for Albert to make a move. Another incident. Nicholas Adams has had a... Oh, that's interesting. Why was he backing up? Why was he there? Did he... I wonder if he went into the escape road and that was him backing up and staying off the racing line to do so. Either which way, he's now got the second Red Bull of Matt to contend with. Matt down the inside, turn 1, and that's job done. So Nicholas having a pretty eventful race day today so far, as Kyle Wilson does the fastest lap of the race back in P8, which currently is P7 overall. So your podium is Ken Doyle, Albert Garcia, and Joseph Roberts right now, and then Alex Reese in P4, and Alex will be a little happier knowing that because of his oh, there's a battle going on actually, so Connor's not completely done with Albert just yet. I wonder if maybe Connor was backing off to let his tyres cool down. Now he's trying to mount an attack again, but he's got to be a little mindful on the fact that he isn't racing this for championship, and that he will cop a mouthful if he does take someone out of the championship, out of the race in a championship position, which Garcia, I think, is one of them. It's been a while since I've actually looked at the points table for F4. See if I can track them down quickly right now. So our championship points leaders actually, of Ethan Lossing and David Edwards, are both not here this weekend. So Garcia will take a pretty big, I wouldn't say he'll be in championships. Well, he'll bounce into the championship perspective right now. And then Luke Ringham in P4 is not here, nor is Jamie Tomeo or Daniel Budwell. And with Ken Doyle leading from the rest of the field, looking at the championship picture, Garcia would be in touching range of the championship, but Ken Doyle would move to fourth in the Drivers' Championship if he wins today's race. So Ken will be pacing himself to make sure he doesn't make any major mistakes, and if he takes victory today, he'll jump 5 positions in the championship to be pretty well near the fight himself. So he'll be keeping that under consideration and taking as little to no mistakes as possible. Connor Paisley has backed off quite a bit now from the back of Garcia, with Roberts still a further 10 seconds back from the field. So there's no battles really developing now, and that usually happens around Singapore when that kind of thing. So how would you portray today's race so far?
Surprising. I didn't expect Ken to jump out to such a huge lead. And I expected it to be, based off the start, a little closer, but everybody's spread out now.
And that's usually on the account of the incidents. So now that the closest battle actually in place is between Connor and Garcia, and that's 3.9 seconds, so there's not really much going on. So what we might do is just take a moment here to do an onboard lap, and we'll do it onboard Nicholas Adams in the Ferrari as he's about to start a flying lap around the circuit. Well, not a flying lap, but looks like he's got front wing damage because he's struggling a little bit to make the last turn. So turn 1, you've got to set it up right or it hurts turn 2. In this case, he's done not too great of a job, but it's managed through. He's definitely harbouring wing damage, which is because you can tell because he's trying to take the corner as fast as he can while at the same time trying to ease the acceleration so that it doesn't wind up understeering into the fence. Down the straight, DRS gets on the gas. Looks like it sounds like his gearing's a bit out of place because it just sounds like it's choking while it's dropping gear. That could be a blip effect though, but why you'd be blipping in a Formula 1 car, I don't really know why. Don't even think it's possible, to be honest. Must be just a driving technique. Oh, he's dropped a gear, actually dropped into neutral. Oh, that could be lag, because that's gearing really strangely. Oh, we've got the first driver in on the pits. Connor Paisley now in. He's jumping to the soft tyre and a front wing change. So my guess would be correct, and that maybe when he did grab the fence. When he did grab the fence, it has done some front wing damage. So will be trying now to redeem himself on the soft tyre. Now, I haven't done much in the way of tyre management for Singapore, so I don't really know. I mean, people do say that the one stop is possible. We've got a Sector 3 incident, which was...
Oh, he missed the pit lane.
Ah, he did
Nicholas
too.
Adams.
He did too. And that's not hard. That's not really hard. Well, I mean, if you don't take the pit lane traditionally, it is rather embarrassing. But people don't generally do take the pit lane. Traditionally, they try and cut through in hopes that they don't get a penalty, but usually they wind up speeding. So he was probably thankful that he missed that pit entry. Now, as a result of Connor pitting, there is a bit of a battle that's going to start to form from that, because he's right on the back of Matt in the second Red Bull. I'm just waiting for some drivers to come in. So no driver right now is on the old Hypersoft tyre, so the only person that was at the time, I think, was Kyle Wilson. He's since pit for a set of Ultras and has been trucking along like that for a while now. Okay, so we've got Joseph Roberts now in from position 3. And he's jumping onto a set of Ultra Softs again, so he's committing to the 2-stop strategy. It's not
interesting.
It's not entirely half-baked. It's not a bad plan, but I think he's trying to rely on a safety car, which online is very well, non-existent. It only seems to appear when Matthew Plevy is in front on circuit and there's a crash. So it's very selective. So Matthew Plevy, if you could come onto every formula category and then cause a safety car, that would be much appreciated. But so Connor has jumped Zol, and Aiden Refai's now gone into the fence somewhere. It's going to be hard to say because the only driver... Well, that's interesting. Actually,
Nicholas Adams just doesn't have a good setup. He's got too much oversteer.
Yeah, it's just...
Or understeer, I mean.
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself, because I just saw his pit stop and he didn't have a front wing change, so... Unless he's forgotten to, but I'm just looking at the car now. I can't really see anything towards front wing damage, so you might be right in that it is a setup malfunction. So 3 drivers now out. One of them, of course, was invitational, so it doesn't really have any bear on the championship stanza at the moment. All the drivers looking to be able to salvage some points through all of this. Just waiting for our top 2 drivers to come in, because Joseph Roberts was on the Ultras as well, but he's come in early to do a 2-stop. And I think, in honesty, I think Ken Doyle has the pace to run a 2-stop if everyone else does.
Yeah, I think he's been good on his tires too. I've been watching his telemetry and he's just so smooth.
It's definitely a change of form here for Ken Doyle, so he must have been kind of pacing himself on the knowledge that he knew that that Singapore might be a track where he might been able to salvage something out of it. But I mean, in saying that, there is a bit of a discrepancy. Because of course we have a few drivers, well, we have a handful of drivers missing, which is a bit disappointing, especially given that we've had a half an hour delay today. So just looking at the time at the moment, where we could still make the F3 time frame, but we will probably give it a 10-minute delay, or 10 or 20-minute delay anyway, just to make ends meet. So I don't think it's going to hurt too many people in the way of location. Maybe. No, it'd be better to figure that out when that happens. But just having a look at the Discord at the moment. Um,
Albert has made his pit stop.
his turn, he's actually managed to stay out ahead of the rest of the field to stay P3, so P2. So he's now on the soft tyre, which I'm still not 100% sure where that lies in the tyre strategy, but I'm guessing that it must be able to, the softs must be able to go to the end on the strategy. Although in saying that, it probably would, because it is the ultras to the soft, so a one stop would be made if you qualified on the ultras. Though
Ken.
Don't want to be doing anything too silly. Looks like he's managed to get in quite cleanly. Surprisingly, actually, other than Philip Ducat, who had a moment, we haven't seen any time penalties yet. So everyone's keeping themselves off the curbs at turn 1, 2, the exit of 3, and then the other chicane heading into the last part of the track. So just waiting to see what the stay time is there. It could have probably pushed to a warning for... That's unbelievable. No, yeah, okay, so now the top...
Got PD number 25, and Nicholas Adams, and Team Beetle all have 3-second time penalty.
Okay, so they must have missed that. So the gap to the front now 13.7 seconds. So doesn't look like Albert's undercut strategy worked, but yeah, surprisingly Ken Doyle's running the 2-stop as well. So that's not bad. It's not a bad strategy to do, because he can use these ultras now to full effect and just pull the gap out so that he can make a pit stop. So hang on, we'll just see. Kyle Wilson's now in. Actually, I lost track of time on that, so I'll ignore that. But the gap between... Oh, hang on, I've got to move here between Connor Paisley and Alex Reese, and I think that's just Connor trying to get back into position. Oh! I'm not sure if Alex tried to commit there, or that was just a motion, I don't know. But so the gap between Ken and Albert was about 40 odd seconds before the pit stop, so it's probably fair to say that Ken's going to need to really get the mantle down if he wants to try and make this 2-stop work.
They got like a 26-second transit time, like.
So 26 second plus pit stop. So yeah, about 26 seconds we could say. So he needs to get the mantle down, but at the moment it actually looks like, if anything, although of course it is the first lap, so the tyres do take a while to groove in, so he's going to want to try and put the hammer down, because if he doesn't, although in theory, if he does come in and the gap is this, he would only be 13 seconds by... Oh, Ken, careful!
Oof.
If you're watching
That'll
this,
make your heart jump a little bit.
if you're watching the stream, Ken, turn it off and just focus on your racing. But yeah, so it's more about... So even if he does lose the lead through the pit stop shift, it's probably fair to say that by the time Albert's tyres come to temp, by the time that thing comes into pit for the second time, which it's only been a lap, and we're on lap 14 now, so lap 20... Oh, I don't know about the strategy actually, Ken. I'm actually thinking you might have made a mistake. Just thinking about it, because he'll come in another 10 laps as he does the fastest lap of the race. That'll put him on lap 25, which means he would have 6 laps to try and cut 13 seconds down. And even though Albert's tyres will be that far in, 13 seconds and 6 laps, that's almost 2 seconds a lap he would have to punch. So he needs to try and minimize the damage by this. So he needs to kind of bridge the gap out to make it work, as Alex Reese is now in from position. So this would actually be a good time. So I'll just keep an eye on. So it was 36 between. So pit plus transit. It was 36 seconds when Alex came in versus Kyle. Now the gap is. We'll just wait for a more stable number. 9.7. 8.7.
About 27.
Yeah, so.
In that ballpark.
Yeah, so it's a long haul. So Ken's gonna need to. Oh, Nicholas. Jesus, Nicholas. Just got a shot there of Nicholas Adams going so wide out of the last turn. He almost was gonna grab the wall, so. So right now we're just pretty much just hit the halfway mark, and Ken Doyle holds a 13.4 second lead over Albert Garcia, and Albert's been doing a pretty good job at the moment to actually keep that gap at that number, because when you think about it, you would have thought that with the slightly fresher Ultra Softs, the gap would have dropped or been going out and out and out, but at the moment it's only really ever going out by 0.2 of a second a lap. So I'm just looking at the ERS management between the two drivers, and it's pretty equal between the two. So we'll just see how it goes. So we're currently heading into 9:30 New Zealand Standard Time, which is usually about the point where the F3 lobby is started to be considered being made up, or at least that's when I start to get my ass into gear to get ready to start it up. Actually, the gap between Albert and Ken's just dropped a second, so either Ken's pushing too hard and making mistakes, or Albert's finally starting to find some pace in these softer tyres and trying to make a move of it. But either which way, no matter how you look at it, it's been a very good race for Ken Doyle this weekend to bounce back from obscurity in the last couple of rounds. So we're only 5 rounds into for F4 because of when they started and the fact that we weren't gonna try and catch them up like we did with F3, because F3 was only 2 races behind anyway, whereas F4 is like 7 or 8. So, an incident further back, didn't look like anyone was actually in it. But in saying that, as Joseph Roberts now gets a 3-second time penalty, looks like Ken's got that second back, but it was really a matter of why did he lose it? And he'll be sitting there thinking, every second that I lose that I have to try and make back is costing me the prospect of a race win. So he needs to... I mean, if I was to be perfectly honest with you, unless that's a strategy that he's going to try and push to a Hypersoft last run,
I would say that'd be the plan. I only have, what, 6 laps to go?
Yeah, so fresh Hypersoft versus roughly about 15 lap worn softs is a prospect, but I don't know how big of a prospect it was. If a safety car was to come out, on the other hand, as Kyle Wilson's gone horrendously off circuit at... That's the hairpin, isn't it?
Oh.
Not the hairpin, but the slow corner after sector 1, so he's gone completely off circuit there and it's made a mistake. Now if a safety car was to come out, it would help Ken perfectly, because he would just come in, put on a set of softs and then have the pace. Oh, speaking of which, we've just lost Alex Reese. Now where has he gone off? What? Okay.
Oh, there he is. That's an odd spot.
Oh, wow. It can and not be. But, yeah, I'd be curious to see how that's happened. So, it doesn't really do anything because it hasn't warranted the safety car either. So he'll come in and stop. But yeah, if a safety car had come out, that would have meant that he would have been able to jump onto a set of softs. Well, I mean, even a virtual safety car for that would have been a blessing for King, because it would have cut the pit transit time down by about half the expected time. So, I mean, we saw it in last year's Australian Grand Prix when Sebastian Vettel, who was running third on the track at that point of time, led the race by about only 13 seconds, I believe it was, and then a virtual came out, he came in, and then just got out ahead of Hamilton in the pit stop. So it comes down to taking opportunities when you see it, virtual safety cars and all that kind of stuff, and all that stuff, but we haven't seen one for that incident. Well, we haven't actually seen any incident so far this weekend, and of course F3, I don't think we'll see one.
No, I don't know if this is a glitch or not, but I'm starting to see raindrops, I think.
Let's have a look. Let's ride on board with Kendall and see. I'm going to have to actually get up and get right into my TV screen so I can see this, because I can't. Actually, yeah, I'm actually seeing it. There is raindrops on the... So, is that something that was predicted, or is that something that's come out of the blue? Nobody did tell us anything, so it was kind of tricky not to know what the weather...
This could also help Ken out.
It could. If it does fully drench itself, and he's coming in though. This is always... Is it that damp already?
I haven't seen the DRS off or disabled
He was?
warning yet. Oh, there it is.
Holy. That came down in a heap. Yeah, everyone's responding, so this has saved Ken big time. He must have knew this was coming.
Now he just looks like a genius.
Beautiful strategy, so he's pulled it off. But when you think about it, it didn't look like it was greasing up, even with the, like, when you looked at the...
I barely saw the drops.
Yeah, when you saw... Only when you saw the drops, it was, when you saw the drops, it basically was, the track was still bone dry. And then suddenly, as soon as King got into the pit, and the DRS was disabled, the track just dumped with water. Only now have I been told it's raining, so... we've got an incident already. Looks like somebody's tried to stay out. Actually, we've got a couple of... got a Haas. Connor Paisley's missed the ball big time. Connor's still running out on the soft tyre, so he's made a mistake in not coming in. I wouldn't say he's missed the marker because of the DRS deactivation, but that's cost him That's going to cost him big time as the intermediate runners probably come through, and he's only just coming out of Sector 1 now, so if he doesn't park it in the fence, he's going to struggle to get into pit lane, as you can see.
Just fighting this thing.
I don't...
He's losing a lot of time to fourth, so... Unless
the rain is not suspected to last very long, I don't honestly see what could drive someone to think that not coming in when DRS is disabled is a good idea. I mean, he isn't in a championship position, so it's not like he's going to lose anything from DNFing or dropping positions, but it's an interesting statement when you see a driver, invitational or regular, not pitting in the pit window. But it's going to be one of the interesting things I'm going to see is he... we were going to give him such a rap for staying off the wall there, and then he's just gone and put it on the other side. But now comes the strategy of who's got the right setup for a weather like this. So Ken's obviously... I would say Ken's car is being built to be quick in the dry conditions, but who would have sacrificed their dry pace on the prospect of potential rain is anyone's guess. Does look like Albert's car might be a little better in the wet conditions. He is starting to pull the gap in a bit, but it is still 12 seconds with 10 laps to go.
I think he's just got such better traction out of the corner.
So in saying that, Connor Wool has come in, and he's actually given the inside wall a glance as he's come out of the pit. But he's going to come out just ahead of Matt Coyer, in the second Red Bull. So Matt, who just now navigates his way around Nicholas Adams, who's still got to salvage a P6 finish. So your top three is your top three, pretty much, of Doyle, Garcia and Roberts, and then Paisley, of course, not in the picture, so you take him out. Somebody's had a moment. Oh, race leader's had a moment!
No!
Although it looks like he's... I wonder if he's...
I don't think he has any wing damage.
No, I'm just trying to piece it all together. Did he gas it up and spin, or did he clip the inner wall? Well, actually, it's impossible to clip the inner wall because that would result in corner cutting. But that's going to give Garcia an incentive now, because he would have gone from not seeing that Toro Rosso anywhere to now seeing a Toro Rosso up front, and now he'll have the prospect of thinking, well, I need a push now because he's made a mistake, he's vulnerable. But yeah, you don't want to be... Yeah, I can understand making mistakes when it goes wet, but yeah, these are the kind of critical moments that you don't want to be ruining what has been a perfect day for Doyle and for Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso actually yet to win a race in the TNF1 this season. They shared some pretty decent success in the first season, what with Axel Ericsson, Daniel Vale, and yeah, actually just those two tasting success for Toro Rosso Honda, and of course Toro Rosso back in that day, because it wasn't Honda. And of course I took the title in the Toro Rosso instead of the Ferrari, but so they're trying to bounce back a little bit, and hasn't been the most fortuitous season, although of course you do lead the Drivers' Championship in the Toro Rosso at the moment, so you're... Oh, he's done it again!
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that is, but I think it's understandable. His car's being set for the dry conditions, so it's obviously going to be very oversteery, and but if he keeps it together, he should still hold... Oh, Connor Paisley's had a moment coming out of the bridge. That's an interesting parking spot he's chosen, and that's dropped him another position. But yeah, he should stay. He should stay in P2, and I think for him now it's just basically keep your head down and try and manage the position. Now, I think when you look at it, when the rain comes, if you've got a car that's built on a wet setup, dry setup, what you tend to do, and this is what I do personally, is that if I know it's going to rain, I set the wing to a higher, the front wing to a higher number, so that it generates more downforce. The rear wing, of course, is probably determined by how you want your car to be in a straight line on a certain circuit, so it may or may not go. And Connor's actually put it in the fence somewhere, and that's him out of
lane.
Yeah, I
think he retired.
Yeah, I think
it was speeding penalty.
Yeah, I think he just packed it in and figured he's got enough. Might as well get ready and prepare for F3, which currently, as we stand, is probably still going to be delayed. And we got a safety car.
Wow. That saved Ken real.
It's put him back in the fight, but it's a matter now of trying to overtake Albert when it matters. Unless, of course, the safety car decides he wants to, yes, good idea. Take it. He's got the gap to do it, so Albert's coming in for another set of inters. I wonder if he's got front damage, wing damage as well. Either that or he knows that no, it's just another fresh set of inters, and away he goes. I was just thinking maybe he thinks that maybe he knows that if he's in the front, the safety car might take him out, so he's not taking any chances. You know, safety car hasn't been very kind to the race leaders actually in the TNF1 this season, so
Matt.
Yeah, Matthew Blevy. F1 hasn't seen any, and yeah, so Albert should come out comfortably in front. But of course, we now have a safety car, which I never thought would have been possible, given, although I suppose maybe because it was a crash in pit lane, maybe it was just deemed worthy of the situation. So the Mercedes AMG safety car comes out for the first time this weekend, and hopefully we see well, I mean, as much as I hate seeing people crash out and ruin their chances, I hope to see a few more safety cars this weekend while in the commentary box. Probably not so much unless it's going to help me in the F2 race, but so with Connor now gone, the field reverts back to its effectiveness. So Garcia leads from Doyle, with Roberts, Coyer, Wilson, and then Adams making up the rear of the field. So looking at the numbers, actually, Connor would have just missed the 90% rule. So if he was racing F3, that would have been no points for him. So he would have been gutted about that. We're just waiting for the rest of the field to bunch up now. In saying that, though, there's quite a bit of a gap between position 3 and 4, so it'll be interesting to see who gets to the back of the safety car train and who doesn't. I remember, I think it was actually Singapore last season, F1, where I was put a lap down before the safety car came out. Only just put a lap down, and everyone pit, and then I got let through by the safety car, which then gave me a legal overtake, which then gave me a drive through. But I just remember only just nearing the back of the train when the safety car lights went out. So basically, as soon as everyone got onto the gas on the last turn, I was at the last turn full tit, and then cast my way through the field before I had to serve my drive-through. But it looks like at the moment the top 3 are going to make it to the... And then Matt should... Where is Kyle versus Matt? Quite a fair bit back from there as well, so... Now the interesting thing lies in the safety car procedure. So you want to be, especially in the wet conditions, we play in the road rules. I don't know if it's the same in America, but on the road, a 2-second rule is usually what's implied for drivers on main roads in streets at towns and cities. So 2 seconds from the driver in front, and then 4 seconds when it's wet because of reaction time. But looks like Albert's given the safety car less than 2 seconds. If anything, he's probably trying to incentivise the safety car to speed up. But you got to remember, and you know, this was a common trend of the actual Formula 1. All the drivers complaining that the safety cars, oh no, Ken, don't oh god, Ken, don't do it under safety car conditions. Jesus. But yeah, so F1 drivers complain about the safety car going too slow. Now you got to look at it from a perspective. F1 drivers are driving cars that can reach top speeds of 300 kilometers an hour, you know, easily, and have the downforce pattern to make corners at 100 and 200 kilometers an hour without understeering or oversteering off the road. But the safety car is a fully heavy Mercedes AMG car that's got no downforce, no aerodynamics, no downforce, anything, and it's having to try and drive at 100 or 200 kilometers an hour with all that weight behind it. So you can't tell the safety car to speed up when it's already struggling to try and be as fast as it is there. Not to mention the wet conditions probably put a lot of emphasis on taking it cautiously. I mean, you don't call it a safety car for any more reason than it's being safe. So we're not sure quite yet when the safety car comes in. Nicholas Adams has joined the train, but of course he's a lap down. But if I remember correctly, there should be a given point where Nicholas will be allowed to overtake and get his lap back. Because now that I'm actually, now that I remember it, the Season 1 incident actually was that me and someone else was a lap down, and we got let through by the safety car, and then we just started ploughing through the field, ploughing through the track to wait and see what happens. So once the safety car comes in, which I'm going to propose will be this lap, I actually think that everyone apart from Kyle Wilson has joined the train, so Kyle will reach the train by the end of the thing. Now if I was anyone now, I'd be doing exactly what I did last season, cutting corners and getting the fastest lap. And that's exactly what I did last season. I think I did a lap that even our fastest driver on a normal day couldn't top, so going out of that weekend with the fastest lap of the whole weekend was pretty accomplishing, even if I did corner cut nearly pretty much every corner to do it. But so safety car should come in this lap, I would say. Kyle's still not quite with them yet, and it's quite interesting when you think about it, because they're still not travelling that quick, and Kyle's been able to travel at his full pace for the whole duration.
Oh. Guys gotta watch it. He just got into the back of Albert.
Yeah, he's got front wing damage too, it looks like. I think so, it looks like it. But it really comes down to a perspective here. They really shouldn't be weaving right now. I think even FIA conduct. I know there's a supercar rule that dictates when the safety car's lights go out and drives off, the drivers aren't actually allowed to weave. I don't know what the account on that is.
That happened at the Bathurst 12 hour. A guy got penalized for it when he was sitting in third.
because he weaved when the safety car came in. Now I don't know what the I don't really know what the procedure is to that and why it's being condemned as a offence or anything. But we're back under lights now, back underway now, and Ken Doyle's actually had a pretty good restart to have a mounted attack on. He does have front wing damage. Actually, he has quite a bit of front wing damage on the right hand side of his car. You can see the end plate is missing from that car. So unless he can just piece it together, he's going to get attacked here very shortly by the Red Bulls. So a very positive run by Ken, just getting a bit obstructed by weather. In fact, he's now going to lose second place too. Or is he? Yes, he does succeed in that position. So after a strong running on the first two stints on the dry tyre, it's now starting to slowly come undone for him, as he now is going to lose another position. Yeah, he's going to lose. So this will be very heartbreaking for Ken Doyle, but he can at least take the knowledge of knowing that he was the guy that everyone was trying to beat today. So he can at least take the knowledge of that, and personally knowing that he's got my vote today for driver of the day, because it's been an absolutely unbelievable scene to see see him up the front after such an obscure amount of races where he's been caught up in people's incidences, and just to he's gone again. Yeah, and that's just, and he'll just be so upset with himself. He'll be so frustrated with that mistake. The tyres, I'd say the tyres. In fact, if anything, I'm actually almost under the impression that it's no longer intermediate conditions.
I think it's gone full wet.
Yeah, I think it's gone full wet. I'm just looking at, like...
he just had a tank flapper coming out of the last one. BD did.
Yeah, I'm just thinking it's not so much about the setup so much, but we'll just see in a second what... Is he changing to full wets? No, he's staying to intermediate, so maybe it's just my imagination, or maybe it's just because it's now in full motion. Either that, or maybe he was supposed to go to the wets and the pit crews put him on the wrong tyre. I don't know, but he's still going to salvage P5 finish out of this, so it's still decent points for him, though 25 points could have been his reward today. So it's going to be Albert Garcia who's going to take another back-to-back race win this weekend, unless he makes a mistake as well, and then the two Red Bulls are going to take the next step of the podium. Now, I recall them being on the podium last weekend and we couldn't get through to them, so I think we'll probably omit, and especially considering that we're pretty much running off time for F3 and all that anyway. What do you mean, do I even... Guy Tusker, you cheeky shit. Are you trying to tell me that it was suggested that it was supposed to be raining in the stream chat?
I didn't see anything.
I'm just going to have a quick look now, just
Only got 5 comments.
Okay, oh no, so it's Spreadies. Okay, so... Okay, guy, you shit, I'll play your ball game. Okay, so... My favourite livery for this year is the Ferrari.
I would concur with that one.
Followed by the McLaren, and then unfortunately, and I really hate saying it, but the Merc is definitely one of the top 3 best looking cars. With the rest of the cars all looking relatively the same as last year. Williams just looks like it's been in a spray booth accident.
Yeah, they could have done a lot with that and just pretty much shit the bed.
Well, I mean, it's understandably, when you've got a sponsor like Rocket, you kind of, you look at the paint scheme of the labelling, and then you could make something out of it. But I guess I mean, Williams has been caught in obscurity quite a bit this season anyways, already, so it's probably fair to say that their bocce livery for the year, isn't exactly is one of their major problems this season. So it's pretty easy to.
I would say not showing up for the first 2 days of testing kind of something to be a little more worried about than a paint job, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we're coming down to the last few laps of the race here today. And it looks like Garcia is going to... Shut up, guy, I know. Shut up. Stop distracting me. And then, yeah, the Red Bulls are going to commandeer the top two other positions of the podium, though, if anything, Kyle Wilson's definitely got an answer to say, I might deny one of the Red Bulls the podium at least. He's within range of an overtake, and then Ken Doyle a further 40 seconds back from the rest of the field, and he would just be now just calming down. He'll be just reflecting, but definite driver of the day for me today. He's definitely deserved that mantle for being the guy that everyone had to beat today. Unfortunately, it looks like the wet weather's kind of compromised. I mean, while it saved his strategy, while it saved his race lead at the time, it's kind of undone him a little bit too. But you can take away the knowledge of knowing he was the guy to beat, and
yeah, and if he felt bad about his racing, this has got to give him a lot of confidence.
Oh, exactly. It's like anything. You have bad races every year or every season. You don't necessarily like. However, I mean, Sebastian Vettel, Lewis Hamilton have bad races, so it's a matter of ignoring your bad races, reflecting on your good ones, even if you don't have very many. And I think for him today will be a massive confidence boost heading into Russia, which is probably among many's least favourite circuits, which I can't really understand why. It's actually one of my personal favourites since Malaysia was taken off the calendar, and it's a track that it's a completely different ball game to Singapore, in regards to, with Singapore you've got no room for error so much in the way that you're in the fence or you're off the track, but with Russia you've got so much room to breathe. But of course it is one of the corner cut havens of F1, so it comes down to how the winner of the weekend might not necessarily come down to speed, is all I'm saying. It might be the one who comes out with the least penalties. So we're on the final lap now, and it looks like Garcia is going to take this comfortably with, at the moment, the two Red Bulls holding down positions 2 and 3, and it looks like Kyle has not been able to mount that challenge back on, so he'll hold on to 4th, and Ken Doyle will take 5th, while Nicholas Adams will be wondering how, through all of this, he's managed to finish P6. So a few DNFs, a couple of unfortunate accidents, probably a few investigations no doubt will be addressed, but through it all it just looks then that everything's just being put into perspective. Matt, I might let you go so you can go and get ready for F3. Good luck, and we'll watch Nicholas Adams have a spin there. But yeah, so Albert Garcia is going to take the race win and make it 2 from 2 this weekend, and puts him back into the championship fight. So with that said and done, we'll drop the broadcast pretty quickly. Matt, thanks for your time in the commentary box, and good luck in the F3 race. Hopefully you can salvage something out of a good weekend looking at your pace, and
yeah, we'll see what happens.
Right, so that was Matthew Elliott commentating alongside me, Brett Keenan. We're not going to worry about podium presentations today. Funnily that the fireworks are still flying off despite it being raining, but oh well. And with that said and done, thanks for watching, everyone. We'll cut the broadcast now, and well, actually once Ken Doyle comes across the line. Driver of the day material, definitely. Heartbreaking to see him in P5 when a win was beckoning for him, but I'm sure he'll take what he can get from it and go to Russia with some confidence as he goes straight into the fence to end his race. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll have the F3 up reasonably shortly. We'll see how that plays out, but thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow for F1.